Parks Casino, it is the number one casino in Pennsylvania. Why? Because they've got it all, including an impressive collection of restaurants. You can enjoy the Parks Grill Steakhouse, Liberty Bell Gastropub, and open-air beer garden. Bamboo Noodle House, Chicky and Pete's, love Chicky and Pete's, all right there at Parks Casino. Plus, state-of-the-art sports book, the 360 Bar, with live bands and comedy, headline entertainment at the Excite Center. Visit parkscasino.com for all the details. Time now for the headlines from Smerconish.com, the newsletter. I am particularly proud of today's newsletter. As usual, 20 different links, all hand-selected by me from different news outlets. Every media website today has a newsletter that they're trying to force feed on you. Here's the difference. All of their newsletters contain links from their outlet. I bend over backwards. Did you see that Instagram picture last night where I'm at the dinner table?
Why, yes, I did. And you had a little help. Like, what's up with the dog on the table?
I know. I can't control it.
Why not?
I can't control it.
Tell the dog to get off the table.
Get off. I did right after the picture was taken. But that's me, head down, dinner, looking for links that might be worthy of inclusion in the newsletter.
You're working all day long.
I really am.
I'm actually a testament to that because you're sending me the links all day long. So,
but TC, yes. Take a look at the different outlets from which we pulled stories. I'm giving you the balance. I'm putting my money where my mouth is, or at least my time where my mouth is. And I'm saying everybody needs a mixed media diet. Okay, here you go. Sign up. It's free.
Well, and I admit to taking advantage of that because there are certain stories like today's stories. There's a story that we'll get to, I'm sure, at some point in this talk about President Biden being overseas, and there was a gaffe that he stumbled over about the Holocaust.
We're going to honor the Holocaust.
I would not have heard that.
Cringeworthy.
I would not have known that he had done that. That he had stumbled on that. I wouldn't have known.
Right, because that story's on a loop.
Exactly.
On conservative outlets that you don't spend a lot of time at.
I try to avoid that just for my own health.
Okay,
but it's good for me to know what's going on over there.
So today I have for you at Smerconish.com that story about Biden, a negative story about Biden. I've also got a story about Trump and witness intimidation relative to January 6th. I'm giving you everything.
And if you're only watching the right side, you're not getting the witness intimidation. You see what I mean, that's obvious, but it needs to be said. And so it should be incumbent upon us to make sure that all of our very far right or very far left friends get the newsletter. So at least they know. Maybe they're not watching it for any length of time, but at least they see what's out there.
I always have something from the Washington Post and something from the New York Times.
Oh, yeah.
But one a day. That's 1/20th or, 2/20ths, 1/10 of the website combined. Today's Washington Post story at Smerconish.com, it's not about Joe Biden and it's not about Donald Trump. It's about the Eagles.
Yes, it
not
is.
The Philadelphia Eagles, the California Eagles.
And the headline is Eagles lyrics notes were stolen years ago. Now 3 men face charges. Would you like to hear the lead on this, Michael?
I want you to tell the Washington Post news story.
Okay, I'll be straight news.
Because then I want to tell you my story.
The album cemented the Eagles' place in the American music scene and the band's status as rock royalty. But pages of handwritten lyrics and notes behind some of the chart-topping songs mysteriously disappeared shortly thereafter, only to resurface nearly 5 decades later as the frontispiece of a New York State Supreme Court indictment. 3 men were accused Tuesday of attempting to sell the cache of papers, including about 100 pages filled with the lyrics of songs like New Kid in Town, Life in the Fast Lane, and the iconic Hotel California, despite lacking proper rights to the materials. Rock auctioneer Edward Kaczynski, rare book dealer Glenn Horowitz, and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Director of Acquisitions Craig Incciardi were charged with plotting to sell the stolen papers, valued at more than $1 million, by lying to authorities, fabricating stories about where the materials came from, and preventing their rightful owner, Eagles founding member Don Henley, from acquiring them.
So in other words, these are the notes.
Yes.
These are the notes that became the iconic Eagles album, Hotel California.
Exactly.
It's a fascinating story. I saw Ron Brownstein talk about it on CNN this morning. It's a great story in its own right, but it has special meaning to me for the following reason. I've written a number of books. One of them's a novel. It's called Talk. I'm immensely proud of Talk. You could pick up a copy of Talk probably for 50 cents if you went online. Although when we introduce more merch in the fall, you don't even know this, TC, but I'm going to offer one of my 7 books, only one, and there'll be signed copies, and it's going to be Talk.
Well,
just
that's
because
exciting.
It came
like
out
a re-release.
No, just old copies,
That's
found in a warehouse with the Ark of the Covenant.
Wait, I love this.
So the book came out in 2014. The book is about a polarized media. Sound familiar? And it largely blames terrestrial talk radio for the climate. I have to take time, call time out here, and I want to just tell this and not feel rushed.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And we'll get to the other headlines.
Okay.
We've gotten to plenty of headlines already.
It's your show.
So theoretically. So Talk is the story of a stoner and slacker, a guy lacking in career ambition who I haven't made the pitch in a while. Let's see if I can remember it.
I'm sure you can. Like riding a bike.
Who's from Florida and doesn't have any ambition, but he has a great ear he comes to recognize for initially selecting songs in a bar environment that people like to drink to. And he parlays this into a DJ career, a classic rock DJ career. Stuff happens along the way. He's asked to try his hand as a talk radio host. He's a far left guy with no political knowledge, but he's given the talking points. And because he follows the talking points, he becomes a superstar and a kingmaker in Florida because of the importance of the I-4 corridor in selecting American presidents. Okay, that's the story.
Alan on YouTube says, tell the freezer story.
Yes. He does have he has multiple encounters in a freezer at Shooter's Bar. Thank you. Thank you for remembering that detail. Okay, so here's the thing. So I'm writing the book, and I'm kind of mindful of the fact that as a talk radio host, we constantly via Dan will play, our bumpers, we constantly introduce short clips of music. And I should know what the rules are. I really don't. All I know is you can always play just a couple of bars of a song, but not too much, because if you play too much, then there are rights issues. So when I wrote Talk the novel, I mistakenly thought the same rule applied. You can quote lyrics, but don't go too far into it or you're a rights issue.
Make sure you keep it short.
So I turned the book into the publisher, and and because my protagonist had been a classic rock DJ, he was constantly making reference to rock lyrics. So the publisher comes back to me and they say, we can't use any of that. You don't have permission for any of it. And I said, well, wait a minute. Isn't it fair use? I'm only using a couple of words. No, unless you get permission, you can't use any of it. I'm like, damn. I said, there's one lyric that I've got to have because it's just so central to the story. And it's the Eagles Hotel California. You can check out anytime you'd like, but you can never leave. I think it's 12 words. So now, we're down to the wire. The book is about to go to press, and the publisher said, we can't help you. If you can get the Eagles to agree to use those lyrics, then fine. But if you can't, you're out. TC, I have this recollection. I was probably working for MSNBC at the time because I know that I was being driven to New York, and I know a road on which I was traveling.
Come on.
Where I made contact with a woman down south whose job it is to be a broker and put together rights deals for people in the private sector who want to use musical lyrics. Okay. I don't know how I got to her. I have a file, of course, at home on this, and I should go back and recreate it. And she was wonderful. She did me a solid. She got to Don Henley and Glenn Fry and explained the purpose of the book, right? Which was, the book was intended to be, although it was a novel, the book was intended to be, a biting commentary on polarization. 2014. And they agreed. And they agreed for a pittance. I have some of the paperwork in front of me where I paid this out of my own pocket, where for, let's see, they had 66.66 control of the song.
Who had
And
the other 30
I don't
something?
know. Again, in my file, I could find it. And the sum that I paid for 66.66% was $421.62.
That's what you paid to get those 12 words in your book?
Now I then paid. Now I thought it was a bargain.
So I agree.
Okay, and now again, do the math. If I can't do the math, but the other 40-ish%,
went to whom?
Whoever else owned the rest of it.
Oh, got it.
And in the book, now here's another part you're not going to believe. So I reached for a copy of Talk, which I keep, on my console,
Sure,
in a stack, and I reached for it. My hand to God, this happened today. I opened the book. Now I've tabbed it, but I wanted to go looking for where did I use those words? And I used them on page 183, and I turned right to it. I tabbed that after I turned to
meant
it.
to be.
Right.
Meant to be.
So the context is that Stan Powers, the DJ, is about to moderate a presidential debate at the Reagan Library. Okay. He's ascending, and he's now about to moderate a debate at the Reagan Library, and a representative, representative of one of the candidates comes to him and hands him an envelope preceding the debate. Okay? Do you want me to read from it now?
Please.
Your answer better
Story
be yes.
time.
Okay. I'm just going to pick it up, consideration.
Okay.
I'm just going to pick it up
midstream.
Yeah. Quote, just for your consideration, he reiterated, placing it on the table. I didn't immediately retrieve what he was handing over. I just let it sit in front of us and took another sip of my drink. Stan, once Tuesday's primary is behind us, Governor Haskell will shift her focus to planning the summer convention. And that includes the roster of those who will be invited to speak in a supportive role in prime time while the nation watches. Then, written in the first person, I say, this must be what Jules had referenced. Damn, this young guy was smooth. Nothing that was happening could be proven in a court of law, but it was pretty clear to me that there was a quid pro quo. Something in that envelope could determine the outcome of the debate, and my willingness to use it was directly tied to a speaking role at the GOP convention in Florida. For the second time since my arrival the previous day, the foreboding lyrics of Hotel California popped into my head. You can check out any time you'd like, but you can never leave. Hunter excused himself and told me he'd see me Monday night. I watched him leave and ordered my third drink. Then I pulled out my iPhone to go through a mountain of emailed reactions to the program that by now was finishing its second airing of the night. I had gotten in just the past 24 hours. For starters, I learned that a former DJ could, within a few years, be a presidential power broker in the United States. Others might see a Horatio Alger tale. I suddenly felt like I was living in a banana republic. I'd also confirmed that prime time at a national convention was something that could be negotiated in a back room or at least at the Polo Lounge of the Beverly Hills Hotel. I looked at the envelope and wished I'd told the pretty boy to shove it up his ass. Instead, I slid it inside my coat pocket and took another sip of my drink. And so the issue is Stan Powers going to use the dirty laundry that's in that envelope during the debate to bring down one of the candidates, elevate this candidate, she's the governor of Texas, which, by the way, I'll tell you, he does. And in return, she then says, I want you to put my name in nomination at the national convention. Hence, you can check out any time you'd like, but you can never leave, meaning they've now got him by the...
Fanciful when you wrote it and completely believable today.
But now you can see why, like, this book is just, it's just so important to me personally. And it brings back a flood of memories, but yeah, $421.62. Listen, let me just finish up with a musical theme. If people want the other political news of the day, I've already talked about a lot of it, but it's all there at Smerconish.com. But sticking with the musical theme, posted at the website today from Axios, The share of Americans who say they listen to music from a particular decade. The bottom line is the 90s. The 90s is the most popular decade for music.
So funny.
What is the percentage of people who listen to music from the 1950s or earlier? 15%. The 60s, 29%.
That actually is a higher number than I would have thought, 29.
The 70s, 43%. The 80s,
Yay, me.
55%. The 90s, 60%. And then it dips again. It
That's
dips where
so
the 2000s are 53, 2010s, 48, 2020s, 57%. Or I would say differently. I mean, I know the decade is young, but only 57% listen to the music of this decade in comparison to 55%.
You know what?
Who listen to the 80s?
What ratings I would like to see is the Peloton music choices. So,
I was just going to say that.
Okay, right? So I gravitate toward the 80s. That's what I do, because guess what? Those are the songs that I know. And I love it. 70s and 80s.
Okay. I yesterday worked out with who is I mean, I have to just say it because it's factual. I'm not saying it as a piggish male. She's like really well endowed, and she's a redhead.
Real? Oh, well.
See, and you knew.
Of course I knew.
Okay.
Jess King. Well, she's also pregnant. So she was well endowed to begin with. And now she's like insanely well endowed.
Okay.
I'm just putting it out there. She and her, I don't think they're married. Her wife, fiance, they're not married yet. They're expecting
her wife, fiance.
Yeah, Sophia.
So
they're expecting a baby.
Okay, I took a ride with her yesterday.
Oh, and
it's a classic rock ride.
She's
in
pregnant.
fact, she opened up with Aerosmith.
She's pregnant now, but before she was pregnant, when her stomach was flat, her body is like a Barbie doll. Like it's insane.
Very fit, very attractive.
Yeah. Oh, and she's a riot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a great and she worked me.
She's a free spirit.
She worked me yesterday. And she's pregnant?
Yeah.
Damn.
And she's like,
I should
I don't know. Okay,
I should
wait a
really
minute.
be embarrassed now.
Wait, I don't know when. Was it a new ride?
It was a relatively it popped right up on the menu.
Okay. Because I was gonna say maybe you were taking one from last year.
I think I'd know if she were visibly pregnant.
Maybe you would, maybe you
I'd
wouldn't.
see her belly. Her belly was exposed, as I recall. Because she was wearing like a midriff.
Well, they all do that.
It's very distracting. Working out. I just wanted to get a workout in.
Right. That's why you chose her.
No, the point of my story is I did not choose her for her breasts. I chose her for
the classic rock.
Classic rock.
I know that about you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just scrolling through classic rock. Bing.
I do classic rock, or I do 80s.
Okay. Music from the 1990s is more popular than music from any other decade right now, even current tunes, according to data that Luminate shared with Axios. Why it matters, as they like to say, savor the moment, a rare point of cross-generational consensus. They may not agree on bangs or jean styles, but Gen Xers, millennials, and Zoomers, Gen Z, all seem to love 90s music. Final question. So what's the first thing or artist that pops into your head for 90s music?
Oh, you're asking the wrong person.
You're asking. I'm the one. Madonna.
Madonna's the 90s? No, Madonna's the 80s.
Is Madonna the 80s?
Well, she's also the 90s. By the way, she's also now. She's still doing music. But
I think
there's a lot of Madonna in the 80s.
Okay, but I can't give you nothing else is top of mind for the 90s. Madonna.
Wait, is that what you think, or that's what they say?
Me.
Oh, no.
They don't
Madonna,
say.
Madonna, you say Madonna would be 80s.
Okay, if 60% are listening to music from the 90s, can you give me one 90s?
No,
yeah, nothing.
I just told you 80s and 70s.
All right.
Okay,
well, we're done here. Anyway,
wow, we really got far into the newsletter.
Talk the novel. Yeah, you can check out can check out anytime you'd but you can never leave. 12
we always
words.
thought 12. Okay.
12 words, 12 words, 66% ownership for my usage, $421.62. Oh, one last thing. They also wanted signed copies of the book.
Well, that's
How
a good sign.
privileged was I to send to Don Henley and Glenn Fry, who's no longer with us.
Wow.
And Don Felder also gets the shout out. Actually, was Fry gone by then? When did Glenn Fry pass?
Hang on.
Henley was the key guy. He was the guy,
He was the one you were
who opened it up.
negotiating
Who opened it up for me?
2016.
Oh, okay. So he was still
with us.
okay.
Yeah.
And by the way, they don't agree on a lot of things.
No.
But guess what they agreed on? Talk, the novel. Thank you for listening. Vote at Smerconish.com. Sign up for the newsletter. See ya.